G'day all, it's Colin from PCTLC and thanks for joining me. It's been a long time since I've uploaded a video and there are reasons for that. And I might just go through a few of those reasons. Life just went in a different direction very quickly. Wasn't expected, but for some very positive reasons on a personal level, to be honest. Let's have a look here. My last video was November 19th, 2022. So not quite 12 months. We're at September now. So it's probably been 10 months since I made a video. The reasons for that. Let's just take a look at the reasons for that. So roughly in September last year, I remember I made this video for Ben before I went on holidays. And I went on holidays traveling. I drove the car from the west side of Australia to the eastern side of Australia where my family lives over here. So that was a long adventure. It took about 3 weeks or so. Took my time. It was about a 3-day travel or 3 or 4 day travel, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4 nights. So probably 5 days or so. I organised that and I laid it out in this application called Dolphin, which also is on the phone, Oppo, Oppo Android. So Dolphin's on there as well. And as you can see, it's got a synchronize button down here, which you can synchronize, I think the file's on Hotmail or Gmail, one of those. And I laid out what I was going to do for this. This is what I think they call this markdown, but this is the finished product here on the right. So I laid out how I was going to travel over there and some stops. Pretty much went to plan. And there it is there. And we traveled all the way through there. And spent some time with the family, about 10 days. And then spent another 4 days coming back. Or 5 days. It may have even been 6 days because we stayed. So here's the Perth trip and that's coming back. And we stayed in Adelaide for a couple of nights. Just have a look at that real quick. In Adelaide, South Australia. Stayed there for a couple of days. Just looked around a little bit. And that was, once we got home from that, we really enjoyed that trip and got home. So yes, we actually enjoyed that trip. It was really good. And the missus enjoyed it more than I thought she would have. And once we got home, we realised that the house is a bit too big for us to continue to maintain. I'm not interested in maintaining a home anymore. Things do need to be fixed around the house, no matter what size home you got. But we just thought we'd downsize and build a new one. So that's where I'm at the moment. That's what I've been up to. Unfortunately, along the way, things didn't quite go to plan. We sold our home. We had a house lined up that didn't work out. And we ended up homeless, so we had to put our stuff out the backyard of the sister-in-law's place, and she's got a triple garage as well, so we lined that up with all our stuff. Then we were in a position where the daughter and I had to quickly do some internet search and applications for rentals and so forth to try and find a place to live, which we did eventually. And here I am in that rental right now while my house is getting built. And this is some of the pictures of the stages it's at the moment, the house. That's frame stage, it's a metal frame, and it'll have bricks on the outside, drywall on the inside. So it's actually bricked up now, so it's at a point where it's bricked up, so hopefully that doesn't take too long to finish, probably another 5-6 months hopefully, and we can settle ourselves into a new home. So what have I been up to in between then? Well, in between moving twice within a month, or just outside of a month actually, which was completely exhausting, to be honest, moving twice. We still have a lot of stuff in storage at the sister-in-law's place till we move into the new home. So that took up a lot of time. Also, from the time we went on that holiday, and I've just come back from holidays from my mum's place over in the eastern states. This time I flew over So in between that time, I've been, repairing, doing repairs on the house I sold, and then got it up to scratch to sell it, and now we've sold it. So that took some time, and then we had to sell it over Christmas. That took a bit of time. You got people coming through, so you don't really have the house set up as you normally do. And so making videos through that time was just a no-go. And now we've moved into a rental. So and we've doing a lot of research on some of the things we want to fit the new house with, and lighting and all that sort of thing. So there's so many things happening in that regard. In between that, I've had time to do some things with Linux, and things that I just wanted to enjoy and things that I wanted to learn. And one of the things I've been learning is this thing here is YAD. I've called it YAD PCTLC. It's got a lot of scripts in here, and also a lot of bash scripts and YAD scripts. So the YAD forms, so they're called YAD forms, these ones here. And these are all the things that I've made. Install of flat packs, which you can do on all bases. And I've also got, with the flat pack utility, you can install on Ubuntu base, Arch base, or Solus. And then that's the install that I've got on the YAD form. Let's just open that real quick and have a quick look at that. So that's the Flatpak installer for install for Arch, install for Ubuntu and Solus, and add the repo. And then you've got a whole heap of applications curated for myself, things that I may use. And there's one that we tried, Ferdium, which is pretty good one. So I added that in. So I've just been adding things in here and there. So that's my Flatpak utility. And then there's Arch utility. I've got an Ubuntu utility. That's just YAD Ubuntu. Let's just quickly check that out. And this one is check snap list, remove snap from Ubuntu, and then block snap. So that block snap allows you to block the snap so it doesn't reinstall on updates. Then you've got the option to restore the snap and update Ubuntu and upgrade Ubuntu. So I've made those two separate. So that's one of the Ubuntu utilities. And I thought it was important to be able to restore the snap in case you want to do that as well. But mostly I use Flatpak, so I'm not really... I like to use one or the other. I don't like to really have both on the system. I'm happy with the Flatpaks that I use. And there's all these other utilities as well. So I could probably go deep dive into that at some point in the future. As you can see, there's a huge amount of scripts that I've been writing. This is the copy YAD as well. This is, if we just open that real quick, and that comes up in a menu-driven utility within terminal. And if you're on Arch with the GNOME, if you're on a desktop with Arch with the GNOME terminal, which is probably most except for probably XFCE, I would say. And then you've got the KDE, because that uses console, so you could use that on, and most of those will be Arch commands, hence why it's named Arch. And then you got Solus utility and an Ubuntu utility. So there are quite a few utilities. I've got Flatpak, browser installer, Virt Manager installer, VirtualBox installer with a whole heap of different, start libvirt, stop libvirt, and all these commands that I just went berserk on creating bash scripts and YAD forms. So I've been really enjoying that. And depending on what desktop you're running or base you're running, you can copy that over. And as you can see, you can also remove the folder. So if you make an update to the folder, you can copy it again. You can remove it first, remove the desktop files if you need to, and then do it again. So remove Arch KDE desktop files. KDE is specific because it runs console. So yeah, I've been working on that. So the inspiration for those YAD forms and bash scripts has been a couple of blokes across the pond. MiyoLinux is one. He was doing YAD forms. He inspired me to actually start doing YAD forms because I like things in a GUI. Looks a bit more professional than just running from a terminal. Just depends how you like it. I like to have a GUI. And it's something magical about making scripts and making a form and being able to just click that box and watch the magic happen. So I've been, it's just awesome stuff. And then also eznix with the bash scripts. I started learning from eznix because he uploads a lot of videos about doing things like that. And Dan from MiyoLinux, he was doing some videos on YAD forms. So those guys have really inspired me to do that. And I just tried to push the limits to see how much I could do. To be honest, if you have a look at the how much is in this, whenever I start creating another form or another script, I've got to really think about where that script goes, what I've got to grab from where, because it can get very confusing even though I created it. And also I'd like to mention the other bloke across the pond, Dennis. If we have a look at his videos there, where is it? PC TLC for Colin. So he was just wondering, where the heck am I? And he says I'm missed within the community. So I really appreciate that. It's good to know that that some people enjoyed content that I was making. There was reasons why I was gone, and I didn't expect it to be this long, but we made some life decisions, and yeah, it all went from there and just snowballed from there at the end of the day. So I was looking at the video that I made here, November 19th, 2022. There is another one. My very first video was back in Feb 18th, 2017. So it was more than 5 years. It was coming on almost 6 years of making YouTube videos. And if we go through the list, you know, there's some 4-minute videos there in the early days, but 1 hour and 20, that's a long video. But you know, that video will have a lot of timestamps in there. So instead of having many videos that people have to go looking for, it's all in the one video with the timestamps, so you can, you know, just find what you need within that one video. So I don't know if that's the right way to go. We did talk on Linux Saloon about you know, length of videos and whether people are interested in watching videos any longer than 10 minutes these days. We chatted about that, and I have been on Linux Saloon on a Sunday morning, Australian Western time at 8 o'clock, US time 8 o'clock at night on a Saturday night, Sunday morning Western time in Australia. So I'm still chatting on Linux Saloon. Haven't been on there for a couple of weeks now because I've been on holidays and I went back to East, like I said before. So if you have a look at these videos, half an hour, you know, an hour, 40 minutes, they average a lot of around about probably anywhere to 30 to 40 minutes. And that takes nearly all my weekend to make those videos. And I suppose you could say I was getting a little bit burnt out as well and just going through the motions. If we go to some of the videos here, I was just sort of doing a reflecting on Pepman OS. I was going to do a series on that. Didn't really get a chance. But I was doing a lot of look-arounds and, you know, just checking out things. I think a lot of people are overlooking at videos just showing what apps are installed and this and that. But definitely I want to make some videos about changes made to distros, but just focus on the changes only is probably the best thing. we don't need to know what apps are in there, I suppose. I also want to try and trace my steps back to when I first started in Linux. I wouldn't trace it back as it was, but just to reflect on how I came into Linux, and maybe, you know, from starting from Windows and working my way into Linux itself, and maybe combine that with some of my knowledge of what I've got now, and show people what they can do in Windows as far as Linux goes, because Linux is about free and open source mostly. And it's not just Linux itself, there's applications involved in this as well. Applications that, free and open source applications that can be run on Windows, where you can sort of get your feet a little bit wet in that regard. And then if you were interested in going to Linux, then those apps could, if you have knowledge of running those apps on Windows, then you could, you know, probably go that little bit further into Linux. So I might do a series on A Road to Linux or something like that, looking at ways that people can move their way into Windows, maybe even stay on Windows with free and open source applications. Because there's some great applications out there that can be used on Windows. You don't have to run Linux to use those, but there might be people out there that are considering it, but not sure which way to go. So that may be something I can look at. Something that's on my mind anyway at the moment. There's definitely a journey there that can be talked about and shared, I reckon. So that's something that I'll be looking at doing, I think. I've been thinking about it for a while. Now, the other thing I've been doing is something that I've been doing for a while. The GNOME Arch Linux that I'm running here now is something that is an ISO that I created using Eznix's templates, and he no longer does GNOME, so that's why I'm looking at KDE. So this here is the KDE login. Thought I'd dress it up a bit, because the standard login that comes with KDE out of the box looks very 90s, and it's I don't know, compared to the rest of the desktop, how modern the KDE desktop looks. I feel as though they dropped the ball a little bit when it comes to the login screen on KDE. Just my opinion, but that's what it looks like to me anyway. Bit of a shame, but there are ways around that. So that's the login screen I get when I make my own ISO anyway. So I'm thinking about moving to KDE. I'm not 100% sure yet whether I want to do that. But this is an eznix, one of eznix ISO that I've downloaded. It's the KDE ISO. And I've got a template in here that I've been working on. And if you have a look at the out folder, I've got an ISO there that I did on the 23rd of August. Things have been updated since then, so I've updated the system. I'll keep updating it till I make my next ISO. The only thing that I had in there was in this ISO in the scale folder, if we look at hidden folders, I've got the .mozilla in there, which means it has my YouTube and all my login stuff already done. So when I open up YouTube, my PC TLC and YouTube channel's already logged in and so forth, so I don't need to worry about that. So this is sort of pretty much to suit my own personal needs, pretty much, which is the reason why I did the YAD form and the utilities and that as well. That's where I'm up to there. That's Eznix does some really good stuff in regards to templates. So I'm not sure whether I want to continue to use Eznix's templates, because he doesn't do GNOME. And Cinnamon's a bit broken right now. Hopefully that gets a fix soon. And then there's KDE. I've been fairly impressed with KDE. Has all the doesn't have the single Windows or super button that you can press and everything opens up, but there's, you know, it's a two-key combination there that you need to use to do all that sort of stuff. So I've set my own combinations, like Super W, I think it is. Let's have a look. Oh yeah, there we go. Super W shows you the desktops there, and the open what's open as well. So it gives you a bit of an overview. Let's just open up a couple of things and try that again. Super W, there we go. And then there's, I think, Super A, I did one, which just shows you an overall view of your open windows. And then there was a Super G, which shows you the, so there's Super G, and I can't remember why I made it G. There is a reason why I made it G, so that just shows you the all the desktops, and you can, you know, move things around on your different desktops. So that's that. So those settings move over to the live desktop and also the installed desktop as well. So the live desktop looks like this except for the background. That's the one thing I could not work out was the background. Let me show you my cherry tree real quick. So my cherry tree here, if we go to Easy Archer KDE, and these are the things that I've worked out I need to move over from the running system into the template. So that's the things that I've worked out. So when I'm doing this here, I've got everything in the user that I need, if I need it in the user, but most of them are in the etsyskel.config.local.mozilla and my YAD PCTLC folder. And then I just have to copy it over later on once it's done, because then copying it sets permissions as well to make sure all the desktop files and everything works. So that's that. So I'm going to be making another ISO with this one here. I'm unsuccessful with the desktop background on the live and the installed system. I do have user share backgrounds. I think there was, I think on the system itself, it's actually, if we have a look at the system, I don't think it's in user share backgrounds, it's something else. User share, I think it's KDE something, I believe. KDE, no, I don't know, I can't remember where it is. Something wallpapers, I can't remember. I've tried that as well, and that still didn't work. Even though the background's in that position, it's still not working. Let me have, I can't remember where I put the other backgrounds. I did the SDDM and the themes. So there was another background in, there was another place to put your background wallpaper. I can't remember where that is, but I think I tried that and it still didn't work, so I'm not quite sure. So if anyone knows how to do that, then appreciate some feedback. So I'm eventually looking at moving to KDE, possibly see how I go with this. Just see if I can get all the calendar and all that sort of stuff set up, which I've got in GNOME. Because KDE was never strong on, KDE was never strong with online accounts, so that was, but the calendar, you can set up online accounts in KDE, which I think I've done. I don't know if I've done it on this one, but yeah, the calendar, there is a calendar starting with K that you can set up in KDE. And to help me with that, I've got a 250 SSD running this system with a 1 terabyte backup, where I keep all my stuff on, and then I've got another backup externally. But I'm looking at maybe doing this as an external. It's an SSD 2 terabyte. And I might do my new KDE on this 500 gigabytes and remove my 250 and keep the system on the 250 and then put that back in if I need it. That might be the plan. So I can keep my GNOME desktop with me. I could probably plug it into this little caddy thing here and use it externally and update it from there. So that's my plans at the moment. I have no schedule to upload. I'm just, when I've got some ideas and I create a video, I'll upload it. I'm not going to be trying for the weekly thing or anything like that. Just when I have the time available, I want to make it fun. I don't want it to be a chore. Once it becomes a chore, it no longer becomes fun. So because I'm still working full time, definitely I'll just do it when I have time to do it. I think that's the best schedule I can have at this point, and I'm looking forward to coming up with some ideas I got in my head and following through with that. Anyway, I'm back after a long break. Hope you're happy to see me back. Look forward to making some more videos in the future. Hope you enjoyed this video and the explanations as to why I was away. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you in the next video.